Whiskey for the Ages is not sponsored or endorsed for any product or program mentioned in this show and receive no remuneration from their creators.
Hello everybody, and a warm welcome back to our Whiskey for the Ages podcast subscribers. Tonight, I'm your host, Brian Dawson, and Hannah's here on my left.
Big thank you to those of you who are tuning in for the first time, and welcome to our new season.
And Alora's here on my right.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoy the show and consider subscribing to the podcast as well.
Subscribing really helps us out, and it will help you as well. Subscribers get notified first when we upload new episodes. Subscribers help move us up in the Google ratings. Higher rankings makes it easier to find our show. More listeners will drive future content, and more exposure will allow us to expand to YouTube, something we've been wanting to do for a while. And don't worry, we never spam with unwanted solicitation.
Tonight we are circling back to our regular series opener. We're reviewing a new whiskey, and it's one that we've not had before.
Thank God, because I've been nagging these two about opening up some new bottles. It's crazy. Unopened.
So let's get down to business here with that intro out of the way with our new bottle. Wilderness Trail Wheat Straight Bourbon Bottled in Bond. So I've got some vital stats for us. Category, it's a small batch bourbon. It's a bottled in bond wheated straight bourbon out of Danville, Kentucky. Wilderness Trail Distillery, DSP KY 20005. It is owned by Campari Group. This product that we're drinking tonight is their wheated sweet mash bill, 64% corn, 24% wheat, and 12% malt barley. It's one of the highest ratios of wheat used in bourbon made in Kentucky. 24% wheat, that's a lot of wheat. Barrel was made from 18-month-old air-dried staves. It was barrel charred at number 4. And the distillate went into those barrels at very low proof, 110 coming off the stills at 137. So it gets watered down a little bit before it goes into the barrel. And I mentioned it's a small batch. There were only 20 barrels per batch that they do for this, and then they start all over again.
That's a really small batch.
Exactly.
It's a really small batch.
When you compare that to somebody like an Elijah Craig, where they're using hundreds of barrels for their small batch. Age, it obviously needs to be 4 years old to meet the bottled and bond standards, but per their website, many batches are aged between 5 and 6 years. Being bottled in bond, it is an ABV of 50% or 100 proof. MSRP suggested price here is $64. A fair price on the market. You should find it anywhere from $60 to $70. Nationwide pricing is somewhere in the neighborhood of $55 to $75. And we paid $54.95 here in Idaho here in July.
We really try to make these season openers products that are readily available, for one, and two, aren't extremely expensive, so that if you want to test us and see what we know, you're able to go find the same product and give it a try yourself.
Exactly. Bottle size on this one is 750 milliliters, and they began releasing the wheated bourbon in 2016. Now we're enjoying this one out of Glencairn's, poured about 3.5, 4 ounces, which is typical. However, this time what we've done is I poured a little bit into each glass and then shuffled the order, poured a little bit more and a little bit more, so that each one of us has a blend of this newly opened bottle.
We discovered this last season, didn't we? Where it'd be like we're trying to control just how balanced it is, because while I can get like the neck pour, these two wouldn't be able to, and I could get a completely different result out of what I'm smelling and tasting. So this is just a way for us to control what exact kind, where it is from, like out of the bottle. A bit more of a control method.
Good point, Laura. We came to that conclusion after kind of goofing up when we did our listener pick last series.
Well, and a lot of people say that that neck pour is just a myth, that is not something that should have any impact on tasting or tasting notes. But we've talked before in the past, both on the show and just commiserating amongst ourselves, that neck pour does have a distinct profile to it compared to the rest of the bottle. I'll fight anyone who says anything different. It just does.
That's true. Yeah. And then whenever I get a sample when I was up at school, I mean, who's to say, like, I didn't know if it was a neck pour or where it was from the bottle, but how many times did you guys hear me disagree with these two?
Absolutely. So a little bit about Wilderness Trail. It was founded in 2013 in Danville, Kentucky by some fermentation experts, Shane Baker and Dr. Pat Heist. They built their reputation at a business called Firm Solutions. It was a fermentation consultancy and a yeast provider. Wilderness Trail Distillery was Danville's first legal distillery since Prohibition, and they engage in sustainability. The distillery employs custom high-pressure ultrafiltration. It helps them reduce waste and helps with energy use. They also convert their spent mash into livestock feed. Wilderness Trail Distillery has earned a reputation for innovation, but they still maintain some long-lasting traditions. They operate on roughly 168 acres thereabouts, and their property includes an historic 1869 home as well as multiple other structures. And then back in October of 2022, the Italian beverage giant Campari Group acquired a 70% stake in the business. I kind of think that gives a strong indication of confidence in this company. So Wilderness Trail wheat. What are you guys getting on the nose?
I get a lot. I would say that I get a lot of sweet and fruity, but also there's some savory notes in it. For example, white pepper was first on the nose, including burnt sugar, caramel, corn, baking pastry. There was also a bit of a pumpkin pie element that I got from this, which was really weird because I don't really get a whole lot of pumpkins from bourbons or whiskeys for that matter. Salt, apricot, apple, orange citrus, cinnamon, ginger, peach, fruity teas, and pine trees. So I got a really big assortment, guys.
You sure did. Hannah.
I both struggled with this one and I didn't. The first thing I wrote down was that it's mild. And frankly, I had to really be hunting for aromas here on this one. I don't get as heavy of a fruit forward presence on this. I get some, but this is really hard for me. I did write down wheat. I wrote down corn, like a corn dust when it's all ground up, which is part of the whiskey making process. I didn't get burnt caramel. I got simple sugar. I did get oak. In a way, this is an expected bourbon essence. It's mild though. It's not particularly aggressive, even though it is 100 proof. I did write down some light vanilla. When I put the glass down and away from my nose, I have this, obviously we can't call it an aftertaste, but like an after smell, if I could say that much, would probably be a little bit of leather. I got the white pepper. I wrote down maybe a little bit of pecans and pears. That was the only fruit that I wrote down here was pears. I'm intrigued by this, but I don't know if I'm intrigued because I love the nose, more so that it's just, this is a really mild-mannered nose for something that's 100 proof. And to me, it doesn't offer a crazy amount that really sticks out.
So I guess it doesn't really matter which part of the bottle we're pouring from. I still disagree with Hannah.
What about you?
Well, it's interesting. You both wrote down a lot of things. You both made some good points. I too get the sweet right out the bat. It's sugary sweet, not bad sugary sweet, but just it's got a presence there. I get that pastry note, Laura, that you were talking about. It, like you had, it's very soft. It's mild. It's not wowing me right out of the nose. Light fruit. You know, you said you can't really detect a fruit.
I wrote down pears.
I'm almost thinking that it's a very light blossomy type of thing.
I put down apple or peach, honestly.
Bready? Sure. I'll go there. And vanilla, like you said, Hannah, and nutty. But I'm not sure what kind. Maybe pecans? Buttered,
Well, that's what I said. I said pecans, yeah.
Buttered pecans. So back to Wilderness Trail Distillery. They have pioneered something called infusion mashing, which is basically a low heat process designed to preserve the flavors of the grain. The distillery is Kentucky's first to use a chemical-free, clean steam boiler system for cooking the mash. The distillery was the first to produce a bottled and bond wheated sweet mash bourbon. So, sweet mash. What's sweet mash? Well, most distillers are using a sour mash, meaning that they're leaving a little bit behind to mix with the previous batch. Sweet mash means they are starting with a brand new mash batch each time they make their whiskey.
And of course, some of the risk to doing that is you're going to have variation in batch flavors because you don't have that consistent string all the way through in the mash. That's how I interpret those.
Exactly. But the two guys who got this all started, Shane Baker and Pat Heist, they cut their teeth on fermentation. So if they're going to do it, they're going to do it right, I think. The distillery is pretty small. They're only producing about 215 barrels a day using this sweet mash process. And Wilderness Trail wheat, the one we're drinking here, is crafted to be approachable and balanced. The distillate enters the barrel, as we said, at 110 proof, and that's designed to help retain the flavor nuances. So Wilderness Trail wheat, the palate. What flavors are you getting?
I'm going to let Hannah take this because I'm struggling.
I'm still working on it too. This is really interesting. It's not very reminiscent of the nose. There's more of a pop here as far as the mouthfeel, I say, would go. The nose really gave me the impression that this was going to be mild throughout. I don't see that being the case necessarily. There's some warmth there. I wrote down a little bit of candy, so I don't know. I almost want to say there's an artificial sweetness here, but it's not off-putting. I don't say candy and artificial with a derogatory sense. It's really unique to maybe any bourbon I've had. I mean, on our flavor wheel, we have a lot of options that fall under the candy bracket, including things like Red Hots and Pop Rocks and, you know, even maple sugars and things like that. I'm still not sure I know exactly which one I'm talking about here. Maybe a little Pop Rocks, maybe a little fruit leather too, but I can't pinpoint yet the type of fruit. I think I'm just gonna have to keep playing with this.
Dad, how about you?
Well, you guys got a little head start on it, but I'm saying that it's soft, like on the nose, but the alcohol is there. It's really throat warming as I swallow. And I know that kind of puts us into the finish, But as I do with all my whiskeys, I hold it in my mouth for as long as I can before I do any swallowing, and it's super easy to hold. I mean, this is just not, it's not aggressive in any way. The sugar, I get a combination of simple syrup, which is basically sugar water, and a little bit of burnt notes. Those burnt notes are there. I don't detect any fruit. And maybe that's disappointing because I want to taste fruit here in this wheated bourbon, but I'm really not. But I am getting that bready essence as I picked up on the nose. Hannah, you're saying you're not getting it to follow. I get that pastry note.
I get a cake, like a yellow cake.
Well, that's kind of that baking element. That's good. And the vanilla is certainly there.
Yeah.
I think I get a little bit of that barrel note, a little bit of woodiness. Not so much char, but definitely an oaky woodiness, which I guess kind of means that number 4 char is asserting itself. There's an earthiness here, but not dirty earth. It's just, I think it's part of the grain, part of the wheat. And it is a high wheat. I mean, what did I say, 24% wheat? So, anyway, Laura, you're up.
Yeah, I don't have much of a clue here. I wrote some things that I've never written down before. Water. Like carbonated water. I just don't know. It's weird because when I think of bourbon, I'm like, well, water is an ingredient, but I don't know. This is it's a freshening kind of feeling to me. Hannah, I do get that carbonation going on. I would even say, like, again, carbonated water. I wrote down, and I really am not convincing myself either, but coconut water. I'm not fond of coconut water. And then I also put down lemon, like the little lemon candies, not like a full citrus lemon. And I put down jawbreakers. I can't remember the last time I had a jawbreaker, but I'm just kind of going off of that sugary element. I do get a little bit of that pastry. I did also put down like a burnt sugar meringue. So like if you wanted to have this with a lemon meringue pie, I think it could be okay.
Okay.
But that's only because I had a lemon meringue cheesecake last night, so I'm kind of going off of that.
I can see where you get that burnt sugar element from a meringue. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
What do you guys think of the color?
Somewhat light. Not looking at my wheel here, but I'm thinking more in the tawny.
Yeah.
Wow, I agreed with you guys. Look at that.
So we're all saying tawny. How about
Tawny
that?
on this one. I mean, I think for those of you who are maybe longtime listeners or just know us, I think it should be easy to spot. We're really confused here. This is
Well, we sound confused.
we sound really confused. Normally when we do reviews, we like to be a little bit more self-assured and confident. And a lot of the time we'll have a whiskey and the flavors and tone of it just jump right out and say, hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. Nice to meet you. This is my story. I'm not really getting that here. And that's almost more of a character attribute rather than identify a flavor or an aroma and create a profile. This is just the mouthfeel. We've got that effervescence that comes in right away, but like Dad said, it's really easy to hold, and frankly, as soon as it's gone, there is almost a watery element like what Alora was talking about. It just sort of falls a little flat. I'm saying a lot of things that would indicate that I don't like it, but I don't dislike it. I'm just really confused.
You know, I'm looking at this and we're all struggling to pick out an individual flavor. I'm trying to reel that back and say, is it so well balanced that no one thing is really standing out or shining?
And that very well could be.
But then again, we might all have definitions of balance that differ from each other. Like my definition of balance is how well do each of the flavors balance with one another, and how does that compare with the aromas that I'm getting?
Well, for one, I'm not getting a great deal of oak. All of a sudden, just as I'm saying this, I'm getting a backbone of a little bit of caramel. And maybe it's
Yeah.
carameled, somebody has torched the top of a,
Or like a creme brulee.
or maybe like a creme brulee.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of that.
That could be a really good descriptor, creme brulee.
And we're struggling for sure. I kind of like this.
I know, like it's
Yeah.
It's not it's not wowing me in any sense of the word.
but it's like putting up a really unique fight that we've never had from a whiskey before.
Is it the fact that it's so much wheat? Is it the fact that not one thing is really jumping out? We're not getting a fruit element. We've said sugar numerous times.
Yeah.
We've said vanilla. Well, vanilla is a bourbon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could actually see somebody using this for cooking if they didn't have any vanilla, because this would add that element of sweet vanilla. I'm going to say it. I like this.
I do too, but in a really weird way, like
Yeah.
in a way that I just respect it. The game it's playing gives trickster sort of energy here of like, you're just not going to pin me down and not going to know what to think.
It's not thick.
No,
And
it's not.
Like you said, Alora, watery. It's not watery either, but it's
I think it is.
in my mouth. It's a pleasant mouthfeel. It's not aggressive in any way. I don't know.
I feel like I could use it when I'm baking something. I do like it, but it doesn't scream wow to me. I do get more of a watery appeal in this, and it's just not something I'm used to in a bourbon. We talk a lot about like watering down certain things when it's really, really high proof, and that can help open up flavors. This one I feel is just really watered down. I can't get anything.
It's just
really.
interesting. Yeah, it's 100 proof. It does not drink like 100 proof.
Not at all.
It drinks like a 90.
It does. I
Or
will
maybe
say,
even less.
maybe. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hurt it like that.
I
will
don't
say-
mind it.
I
but
will
it's
say
just-
I just got cherry, but not like your maraschino or your Bing cherry. These are like those white cherries. Little bit of that there, and maybe even a little bit of white peaches. Take the yellow
The
fleshies.
softest flavor
The
of peaches.
Yeah. Real soft.
Subtle.
Yeah. Not meant to wow, but maybe just to compliment. And that goes back to us talking about this could just be so well balanced that everything is melting together in such a way that pulling apart flavor, that's what's making it difficult.
I could easily see sitting out on the porch, watching the neighbor kids go up and down the street on their bicycles and not feel any sadness about that whatsoever. This is easy to drink. If it's 100 degrees outside and I'm just...
This is a good 100-degree
Yeah.
drinker, that's for sure.
It's easy. It's easy. Like we talked about, it's not very dark in the glass. The legs on it, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Just
they're
look.
pretty clear.
They're pretty clear. They're standing right out. Big drops. They kind of just hold inside the glass. They're not falling back into that pool.
Have you guys done a Kentucky Chew?
No.
I don't
this?
want to. I chewed the inside of my mouth.
Shame on you.
I just did one, and I got sugar cookies.
There you go.
I got sugar cookies. I'm not mad about it. The alcohol backs off really quick, too.
They're there.
Ow.
Their sugar cookies are there.
Sugar cookies are there.
Yeah. These could go well with my butter cookies.
They really would.
Oh, butter cookies.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really good.
So now I'm going to put you two on the spot. We got a setting. I actually threw a setting out there.
Yeah, you
I'm
did.
sitting out there on the porch
did.
drinking this. Hannah, your setting, and Laura, your music.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to mention first, though, because my finish is unique to my palate. I've got other things coming in on my finish. We've talked a little bit about it. I'm getting some light raisins, not your dark raisins.
Oh,
but
the yellow raisins.
the yellow raisins. Getting a little bit of those. Green grapes. And some very, very light oak. Very, very light oak. This whole thing, this whole experience has just been a journey into lightness and mellow. And I really like that. I think if I'm going to talk setting, I probably would want to have this on, and I think I've done this sort of setting for another whiskey before. I'd have to look back into my history on it to know exactly which one. But I really would like to have this at a picnic table, maybe towards the end of the day. You've got pies out, you've got your little charcuterie boards. I mean, you've got things that are just calm, gentle. Have a picnic table experience out in the middle of literal nowhere. I think that's where I'd really like to have this, where I'm just isolated with it.
You got to be careful with this because it's not very big in itself. So the charcuterie board can't have any bold flavors on it.
I actually disagree
Please?
because I think that the charcuterie board would probably heighten a lot of stuff out of this
Think
that
so?
we're not catching.
I agree.
I think
Peanuts?
that, sure. I think that having a charcuterie board probably would provoke something out of the glass and wake it up.
It'd be a good pairing bourbon, to be honest.
Nuts?
Yeah, sure.
definitely. And
Slices of
cheese
fruit?
even.
Sure.
Cheese
Especially
even.
Oh,
light,
cheese.
yeah, and especially light fruits. I'd really like to have this
Like
with,
those white grapes.
Yep, like the grapes,
Or
the
the-
peaches,
the,
the cherries, pears, all of those ones that are really gentle and mild in flavor. I'd like to have them with, and then I'd like to spook it with
Apricot.
an apricot or with a stronger cheese or something.
I wonder how this bourbon would go in a cocktail, honestly, like a
I think-
lemon wedge or an orange wedge.
I think that it might get lost. I think the other flavors would overwhelm it. Music.
Yeah, this actually came quite easy to me, surprisingly. For as confused as I was for the taste and the aroma, the songs came pretty easy to me. I was thinking that a lot of the flavors I was getting were bright, like lemon and citrus and sugar, so I was thinking like, okay, well what is a song that I'd want to listen to if I'm drinking something this bright, this light? And for those of you tuning in for the first time, whenever I do music selections, I usually choose only two. One of them is more on a classical music setting, and then the other one is more popular repertoire, like your basic pop or rock music or country, just anything popular that's going on. And for the classical music selection, I don't think these two know it, but it is Haydn's Trumpet Concerto, Movement 3 in E flat major. It's a very bright, fanfare concerto, and the trumpet definitely shines over everything else. And then for the popular song, I chose Golden Hour from Jake. And that one's just fun to listen to, and it's on a sunny day. It'd be something I could vibe with listening and drinking this bourbon, so yeah.
So, is it worth the price? And we're looking at a suggested retail of about $64. Fair price out there, 60 to 70. market price, 55 to 75, and we paid 55 for it. It's readily available, or should be readily available, at a well-stocked liquor store. Wilderness Trail Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Wheat, Bottled in Bond. Wow, what a big name. Is it worth the price?
No. I do like it, and I think that it'd be refreshing, but for this kind of proof and for that kind of price, I could get a lot more of what I prefer in a whiskey. As far as like me having it again, I personally wouldn't keep it on my shelf, but if someone were to offer it on a summer day, I'd be more than happy to have some.
I think I'm right about there with Alora. I think you could probably twist my arm into getting it again, but once the bottle's gone, I don't know how tempted I'll be to go search for a replacement. That being said, I have a suspicion that by the time we're at the bottom of this bottle, I might have a different opinion about it.
Very true.
There is a place for this bottle in our bunker.
It's so unique.
Yeah.
It's just telling a completely different story than what we've gotten from most bourbons, and certainly from most wheated bourbons even.
And maybe that's why it's telling that story, because it's a wheated product. I mean, we've said it's mild, we've said it's soft. I like it. And is it worth the price? $55 is an ask. But on the other hand, if I want a bourbon, but I don't want to get something that's going to mess with my mouth, that's going to make me stand up, I might reach for this. I might reach for this tomorrow. It's a challenging ask. But like Hannah said, maybe by the time we get to the bottle, we're going to say, all right, got to go get another one.
Maybe, yeah.
So, what are we rating this guy?
What did you give it as a rating?
Well, I did my maths. After concluding the results, I got about an 80 out of 100, and I was like, okay, that's probably about right for me.
Wow.
And you're giving it a low B.
I'm giving it a low B because, again, if someone were to offer it to me on a summer day, I wouldn't say no. Like, I do genuinely like it. It's just not one of my favorites.
And then I did my math, and I'm giving it a solid B at an 84. I have a few others that fall into that 84 bracket. I've got a Blood Oath Pact 8, which is shocking.
Yeah, how dare you?
Really shocking. Booker's 2101, that was Donahoe's batch. There's an Elijah Craig barrel pick in there for 2019 for the state of Idaho. Knob Creek 9-year small batch, that's another one that's readily available. A Maker's Mark Private Select from Idaho, that one was batch 4. I even have a Midwinter Nights Dram, specifically Act 9 Scene 4, and then a Wyoming Whiskey small batch. Looking at all of those, and I do mean all of them, so including the Bookers, including the Blood Oath, and even including the Midwinter, all of those are generally mild or have a sweeter tone to them that falls more in the baking or candy side of things. So I'm content with this one to sit at the 84.
And I'm going to throw an 87 at it. I clearly like it better than both of you.
That's okay.
Now, in my 87s, I've got
You've
quite
got
a
a
few
lot.
listed there. But of note, I've got several wheated whiskeys there. I've got a Weller Create Your Own Private Barrel. That's that white label. I put that in that group. I've got an Old Fitzgerald 11-year-old, and I forget which bottle that was, what year it was. I've got an Old Elk wheated bourbon. I've got a Maker's Mark Private Select.
You've got a Rebel in there too.
I've got a Rebel in
Rebel
there.
10-year.
Yeah, I've got quite a few. And Hannah, you mentioned your Blood Oath Pact 8. I have Pact 8 in my 87s. So we're kind of close in the way we're rating them.
Yeah.
I got an Elijah Craig barrel proof in there. I've got some Larceny barrel proofs in here. Of other ones of note, Old Forester 100 Signature Bourbon. That's a $25 bottle. That's a heck of a value. Anyway, mine 87. Any closing thoughts we want to give this?
It's nice on a fresh, hot, sunny day. And try it. Try Hannah's suggestion of doing a charcuterie board or having it with some sugar butter cookies or
General
lemon
snack
meringue.
food.
Yeah, general snack food. See what you get.
And I think once this bottle is gone from our bunker, we'll have to remember to give you guys an update about how we feel about it once it is gone. And by then we'll obviously have had more time to really hear the story that it's trying to tell, because I'm not convinced that we're all of the correct mindset to hear the story the way that it's trying to tell it right now.
I like it. There you go. That's my final thought.
That's your final.
All right, let's move on to this fortnight in whiskey. Got some whiskey news stories for you. I've got two of them that are kind of tied together, and then one other that Alora might find interesting.
Oh God, it's another Gen Z thing. I just know it.
Brown-Forman announced significant evolution in U.S. distribution. So everybody knows Brown-Forman. Earlier this year, they did what was called a request for proposal, an RFP. Essentially, they had a bunch of contracts come and due for distribution. They opened it up in 13 markets for people to bid on distributing for Brown-Forman. In late May, they announced the completion of their RFP status, and Brown-Forman has named new distributors in the markets. 7 of them are brand new to the company. The company will maintain its current distributor network in the remaining markets. I think they've got another 14, 15 different markets across the country. The decisions underscore Brown-Forman's need for its brands to have efficient and trustworthy route to market. The changes were made to drive growth in the years and decades to come. Now, this was pretty significant because it was the first big change they've made in over 60 years. I know this is going to be a little bit mundane, but beginning August 1st, Brown-Forman new distributor is going to be Johnson Brothers in Indiana, Minnesota, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, as well as Texas. Southern Glaziers Wine and Spirits in Louisiana, New York, Arkansas, Kansas, Massachusetts, Missouri, and Rhode Island. Columbia distributing up in Washington. Keg One River City in Kentucky. Oklahoma Spirits Alliance in Oklahoma.
Shocker.
Specialty Imports for Alaska. And the biggest chains, Reyes Beverage Group is going to take over Hawaii and California. They actually announced that back in February, effective this past May. In addition, and as a result of the U.S. distributor realignment, Breakthrough Beverage Group has become the company's largest national distributor. They're covering 14 key markets across the U.S. and Canada. So why does this matter? Well, before May of 2025, Republic National Distribution Company, or known as RNDC, was Brown-Forman's top U.S. distributor. The switch not only dropped RNDC in California, now serviced by Reyes, but in all 12 additional markets as well. They made a break from RNDC. So maybe this next story will shed even some additional light on why it's important. Spirits are now in limbo as RNDC exits California. Securing liquor distribution in California, it's a pretty big achievement. California is the biggest spirits market in the U.S. But as we just learned, Republic National Distribution Company, RNDC, the second largest alcohol distributor in the U.S., lost the major account. But they've also lost Tito's Vodka and Gallo's High Noon Seltzer in California.
Wow,
That's gonna leave a dent.
Yep.
that hurts.
The brands also moved to Reyes Beverage Group. And then way back in 2022, Sazerac parted ways with RNDC as well.
I think I remember that. Didn't you do
Yes.
a story on it back
I
in
did.
22?
I did. As a result, the distribution giant is pulling out of California completely. In an email made public from RNDC CEO Bob Hendrickson, he acknowledged the end of Brown-Forman's distribution program across all open markets. He did write in his email this was part of a broader strategic shift and was not performance related. Frankly, I don't know how it's not performance related. If a big company like Brown-Forman decides to go ahead and drop you, there's got to be a reason.
Well, maybe they're talking performance on an individual level rather than anything bigger. Although to use the words not performance related does seem disingenuous.
RNDC's departure is effective the 2nd of September, and per the email, it's based on California becoming an unsustainable market due to industry headwinds, rising operational costs, and supplier changes. The RNDC exit impacts the workers and state and federal workers as well. Earlier this month, RNDC filed warn notices indicating 1,756 jobs are to be cut by September. A warn notice is a formal federal notification required by the WARN Act. It's a worker adjustment and retraining notification, and it's sent to employees, state and local governments, and relevant agencies about plant closures or mass layoffs of 50 or more people. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. That affects economies.
About 1,500 beer craft distillers and wine producers in California are now challenged to sell their products in bars, restaurants, and through retail. So we all know the three-tier system requires alcohol brands to sell their products through a distributor. Beer and wine and alcohol content less than 13.9% can be sold from the producer's location, but not through a retailer without a distributor. The RNDC pullout threatens the financial viability of scores of craft distillers. Small brands must rely on distributors to legally sell their products outside of their distilleries. California has the greatest number of craft distillers in the U.S., over 375 as of August last year, which is up 55% from the previous year. In most states, without a distributor, products can't even be picked up at the distillery. The whole system has become strained. The California Distillers Association counts about 80 members, and around half of them are represented by RNDC. When the distillers lost RNDC, bars, restaurants, and stores are probably going to start picking up brands that are already on the books of Reyes or Southern Glazers or Breakthrough Beverage Group. If there's no replacement to get to market, these guys are going to be hurting.
Yeah.
So in addition to the 1,700 and whatever number of employees from RNDC, you've got distillers who could be going out of business. The California Distillers Association is pushing hard to ensure California's direct-to-consumer DTC spirits shipping bill is made permanent before it expires at the end of the year. That temporary measure was put in place back in January of 2022 in response to the COVID epidemic. So basically what they were doing is they're making it available for spirits to be sold at the distilleries rather than anywhere else. The organization estimates California may lose 30 to 40 distillers even if the direct-to-consumer shipping bill passes. But here's the big kicker. The future of the three-tiered system, Bear in mind that this system was put in place at the end of Prohibition back in 1933 as a means for federal and state governments to generate income. A major change in distribution may add fire to breaking apart that system. Some states, California, New York, are already allowing direct-to-consumer spirit sales. Maybe somebody's going to come up with a hybrid model which will certainly embrace the digital market, and maybe we can start seeing shipping across state lines.
If this system was put in place close to 100 years ago, it's due for an update. It's really
But then
all I can say.
again, anything policy in America barely goes through any updates.
It takes time.
It's due for an update.
It takes time. Laura, you were right on my third story. Gen Z, the generation of moderation?
No, I'm already disagreeing with this. We can't afford anything, people.
Well,
All
that's
right.
why moderation is probably the key word.
Okay. A recent International Wine and Spirits BevTrack survey looked at young people's drinking habits in 15 markets over a 6-month span. The results indicate consumption by Gen Z legal drinking aged adults has risen from the previous polling. It's up from 66% at the end of March 2023 to 73% ending here just this past March. So that means that of all legal age drinking adults, 73% of you guys are drinking.
I believe that. I mean, you know, the youngest Gen Zer who's allowed to drink now, I can't believe I'm about to say this, is born probably 2003.
Yeah.
And makes me feel like an elder Gen Z. I believe it, you know, we're stressed out. Not saying that you go to drink when you're stressed. Please do not do that. Please drink responsibly. But, I don't know.
Well, seltzers are
Yeah.
hard seltzers are a huge thing
Yeah.
in the market.
But
I
we
mean,
also
they're really,
just-
really appealing for young people.
But we also just like mixed drinks too. Like we do like our vodkas and we do like our fruity beers and hard lemonades and
Well, that's
all that.
you get your hard seltzers and your RTDs, those ready to drink cocktails, and they're really, really appealing for younger people. They just are.
Anything really sweet, honestly, is.
It's almost like you've read this article or something.
No, I've just experienced it firsthand. I have college days too, you know.
Well, we'll get to that. In certain markets, the increase was even more pronounced. In the UK, the increase went from 66% to 76%. In Australia, consumption increase went from 61 to 83%. And here in the US, the jump went from 46% in 2023 to 70% in 2025.
Yikes.
Young people.
Feeling a little doom and gloom, are we? That's just
I mean, you talk to any Gen Zer, you talk to any of us, and we're like, yeah, this kind of sucks right now. Oh well. We have this very lackadaisical attitude going on. There's comedians all over who talk about how, like, if you ask a Gen Zer if they're doing okay, they're like, no, but it's fine. I mean, X, Y, and Z happened, and then the world's ending. You know, it's usual. It's a very, like, dude, are you okay? And it's like, yeah, no, it's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
what I found interesting that the young people's overall increase in drinking of 73%, while it's a little bit lower than the rate of all adults, which is at 78%, it's really not that much difference.
No, in fact, I probably, I mean,
I think it's just a matter of you're getting more years. Of
I
people.
think that's really what it is. You're increasing your sample size
Yeah.
and increasing the amount of people who can drink, so it's going to average out to what the rest of the adults are drinking.
Yep.
Still, moderation is a growing trend among drinkers of all ages for the last several years. Alcohol consumption correlates with disposable income.
It does.
Prices have risen in bars and restaurants, increased with the cost of living. But just like the generations before them, Gen Zers are now coming of age. You touched on that, Laura.
Yeah.
Each year, more Gen Z drinkers are entering the workforce. Those already in the workforce are earning more. And therefore, you have more income. You tend to spend a little bit more money.
It's true.
While moderation is expected to be a long-term factor, consumption is not in a tailspin. The slip is definitely not the fault of Gen Z.
Wow, we're not being blamed for
No,
something?
recent declines are more cyclical than structural. The survey findings also showed Gen Z is more likely to drink from a wider range of alcohol categories.
Like I was mentioning with the seltzers and the RTDs.
Yes, consuming more than 5 different styles in the past 6 months. That's typically 3 or fewer for older generations. I drink beer
We like what we like.
and I drink bourbon and water.
Wine on occasion.
Wine on occasion, but that's very, very few and far between. You guys, the Gen Zers, are more likely to drink alcohol at a bar or a restaurant or a club. That makes sense. I don't go to a bar, a restaurant, or a club.
Every time I go to a restaurant, I have something to drink. Plain and simple. Every time. I can't think of the last time I went to like a legit restaurant that wasn't fast food where I didn't have something
Yep.
to drink, unless it was like a breakfast place.
So Gen Zers out there, you are not to blame.
Thanks.
So
I'm sure they know that already, though.
yeah, I just found it was an interesting article. It just backed up everything we've been talking
Yeah.
about for ages.
Y'all are just becoming average like the rest of us. Welcome to the crew.
Yeah.
All right, time to clear some space in your bunker. We've got some new bourbons for you to scavenge for. Buffalo Trace adds Eagle Rare 12 to its permanent lineup of age-stated bourbons. So Buffalo Trace has added this new age-stated bourbon, Eagle Rare 12. The new release is coming in at 95 proof. That's up 5 from the Eagle Rare 10 that's been out there forever. So the Eagle Rare 10, that's been one that we've all chased for years and years and years. It's just a darn good bourbon.
Yep.
I
Great
think
value.
Priced at about, $40, whatever. So Eagle Rare 12 arrives as Buffalo Trace is celebrating the completion of its decades-long $1.2 billion expansion project. Eagle Rare 12 is made from Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 1, low rye, same as the Eagle Rare 10. A slightly higher bottling proof is said to give it a richer profile. Best of all, the MSRP is set for $49.99. So it looks like it's a $50 bottle compared to the $40 bottle for Eagle Rare.
The minute we get our hands on one of those, we are not
Yeah.
waiting. We are
No.
cracking that sucker open.
That's right.
That'll be an absolute treat. Eagle
Yes.
Rare is just one of the best. I'm
What a value.
I can't even talk about it. It's that level. It just sends me into stutters. It's
Can
something.
I open it when we do get it?
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you. Let that be on record, people. These two are going to let me open a bottle.
Maybe you're the first one to find the bottle, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on my next trip to the liquor store.
My next bottle, Old Fitzgerald Bourbon unveils a 7-year-old bottled in bond. So we all know Old Fitzgerald. It's been out there. They're that fancy decanter. It's got the crystal-like bottle stopper on it. Comes out once a year, maybe twice a year. It's a hard find.
And it's 11, isn't it? 11 or
Well,
14?
11, 14 years old. It's all different ages, but it is a bottle and bond. So this past June, a month and a half ago, Heaven Hill announced the release of its Old Fitzgerald 7-year-old bottle and bond Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. The new release carries on the brand's reputation. Old Fitzgerald was made famous during the mid-1900s, and more recently, the Decanter series, which we just talked about, launched in 2018, is a much sought-after bottle. The bottle stats for this new 7-year-old bottle and bond, obviously, the 50% ABV or 100 proof. It's aged 7 years. Came from new number 3 charred American oak barrels. Mash bill was 68% corn, 20% wheat, and
Still pretty
12%
high.
malt barley. Yeah, still pretty high on the wheat. This is going to have an MSRP of about $60 per 700 milliliter bottle. Distiller notes: graham crackers and honey on the nose, palate of fresh bread, brown sugar, and baking spices, and a finish of rich brown sugar and cinnamon, which
Now,
fades into oak.
Take that with a grain of salt.
take it with a
people.
grain of salt. However, we have had Old Fitzgerald before, and I believe the one we had was an 11-year-old.
Correct.
That profile there provided by the distiller, to me, and it has been a while since we've had that Old Fitzgerald, that matches what I have in my memory of the Old Fitz. We weren't the biggest fans of that bottle. I sometimes wonder if when you age a product into that 10 plus year range, some of them just, especially the wheaters, have a little bit difficult time holding up to complexity. So I wonder if bringing it down to 7 might open it up a little bit more for some character to come in.
Possibly. They are still going to keep that Old Fitzgerald experimental product.
Yeah.
It's still going to be out there, but this is going to be a continuing product. It's going to be available in all markets, or should be available in all markets. Sometimes maybe they just find that, wow, these barrels are really good, but they're not going to make it till the next year. In which case, get it out.
Yeah.
Put it out to the product.
I definitely would be very interested to see what 7 years does to it as opposed to the older ones we've had.
The brand is advertising this release kind of like it was released back in the 1800s. Labeled on the bottle is "Your Key to Hospitality," and that's a phrase that many of the brand's vintage ads used. It's going to be marked in red. The words Old Fitzgerald appears in diagonal fashion, just as it did in the original 1884 trademark label. Bottled in bond is noted on the lower portion of the label, and the neck wrap is going to note the distillation season and year. Old Fitzgerald 7-year bottled in bond is dropping in select markets now.
Do we know the price tag on this one? Did we already mention that?
That one, I believe, is going to be about.
Oh, that's right.
We're looking about $60 a bottle.
That's right.
And it is that smaller bottle size, that 700 milliliter bottle.
That's not outrageous.
Nope. My last bottle to search for here is Heaven Hill is dropping its second grain to grass rye whiskey this summer.
Whoop whoop.
So, the last episode we did of Series 5, we reviewed Heaven Hill's grain to glass rye.
And I'll give y'all an update now. When I said last season that I was a little disappointed, I'll tell you now, I've changed my mind. I've drank so much of that stuff. It really, really, really did grow on me. There's a lot of spice and heat in that one, which threw me. But oh man, if you get an opportunity to get it, experiment a little. Give it a try. I think I've had it more than Dad, and he liked it the most out of the three of us. But I happen to be the one who's imbibed the most out of that bottle.
She will probably be the one to kill it first.
I have
She
to
is
sneak
known
in
as the bottle killer of
Yeah.
this family.
I am.
I need to sneak in a pour of that before it goes away. So Heaven Hill recently announced the continuation of the limited edition series, which includes both rye and wheated bourbon and this rye whiskey. For the grain to grass whiskeys, Heaven Hill sources specific grain varietals from Beck's Hybrids, an Indiana company specializing in grain germination. The 2025 grain to grass rye vital stats. This batch was made from a mash bill with more rye than other whiskeys produced at the distillery. 63% rye, 24% corn, and 13% malt barley. The corn is from Beck's Hybrids, 6225 seeds, and they're cultivated at that same farm the other ones were, the Peterson Farms, in Nelson County, Kentucky, which is right across from the Rickhouses.
Oh, okay.
The whiskey was barreled at an entry proof of 107, very low, but it was aged for more than 6 years, and it's bottled without chill filtration at barrel strength of 105. Seems to be the other one was a little higher than that.
It was. I can actually go look. It's readily accessible.
This detail, along with the years of distillation and release, are all included on the bottle's label. Distiller notes, the higher rye mash bill brings bold complexity. On the nose, spicy with toasted oak and almond. On the palate, orange marmalade, chocolate, nutmeg, white pepper, and honey. And the finish, notes of creme brulee, charred oak, and orange oil. So it kind of means it's a little bit citrusy.
I don't recall that at all from the bottle that we have. And the bottle we have is 123.2 proof.
So it's a big change.
That's a very, very big change.
The Heaven Hill 2025 Grain to Grass Rye Whiskey has an SRP of about $100, and it's available now at specialty liquor stores around the country. So these are just 3 of the latest releases which were announced since our last show. As always, to learn more about these and more offerings, as well as other news stories, go to Whiskey for the Ages episode archive page on our website, and there you'll find all our episodes, their corresponding news pages, as well as citations for the reporting sources.
Thank y'all for joining us. I actually poured myself another glass of the Wilderness Trail. I'm going to keep figuring out the story on this one. I swear I'm going to figure it out. I like puzzles. But thank you guys for coming in. We're in season 5 now.
Really?
5 is half of 10. That just feels significant. It just feels significant. We've got a lot of stuff planned for this season, and of course we'll have some of our regular features. We're going to be doing our classic distillery and whiskey spotlights. Alora is going to be going back to doing another pairing episode.
I don't really know which one I'm going to do, but I was talking with Hannah and Dad about it, and
got some
I'm
ideas.
a little bit more convinced on what I want to do. Chances are, guys, I'm probably going to fully decide like 48 hours before I do the thing.
Well, we'll be looking forward to it regardless.
Typical college student.
Look, you're hanging on the edge of your nails when it comes to college. Not even the edge of like, yeah.
We're going to be doing some more whiskey reviews as we do. Hopefully have another guest or 2. I'm also going to be going back and doing another archaeology episode. Last season was so much fun, and I can't wait to do another one with you guys. Dad obviously has some more whiskey history that's going to be planned out. We love doing those as well. And of course, we're going to be including our tips and tricks that we've learned along the way as we enjoy all of our pours and all of our journeys, and asking some poignant questions about
Life.
whiskey. Okay, it's the same thing.
Whiskey is life? Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, be sure to send us your comments and subscribe to the show. If you have any ideas on how we can meet our episodes or what topics you guys would like for us to talk about, please don't hesitate to suggest your ideas and propositions. We love hearing from you. We get so much enjoyment out of spreading our whiskey story with you guys. It's a really, really cool thing. And if you are brand new to our channel, thank you so much. You're in for a treat. All the OGs here.
Thanks, Gen Z.
Yeah, thanks, Gen Z. Although you use that term more than me, millennial. Thank you so much for sticking with us for 5 seasons. This will be a huge treat. And again, like my dad suggested, if you do consider subscribing to us, you do get free update notifications. It helps us on Google be able to spread our story with you guys. And then it just helps drive what we want to do. Like, you guys have so many suggestions for us, and it's really, really cool to hear from you.
And so ends another episode.
Another season opener.
Another season opener. Please get ready to join us for our next. And like we do for every ending of our episodes, we ring the Glencairn. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.